Hi, Abs here. Today I am going to explain a TV series called Visavis. Macarena Ferreira is a young girl who, because of her love for her boss, was blinded and did not understand what she was doing. The man left his wife and went to Macarena, as for a long time they were not only colleagues but also lovers. Boss was ready for anything, but warned that in the near future, his wife could file for divorce and take away most of his property. Macarena decided to help her lover and at his request committed a number of financial crimes. She could not even imagine that he would film how the financial director steals money from the safe. Moreover, at the trial, the boss denied any connection with Macarena and accused her of harassment. The man suggested that she decided to take revenge on him for being rejected and deliberately ruin one of the subsidiaries, having done a financial fraud. Now Macarena is in prison, and in the near future, she could be sentenced to 7 years in prison. Believing that all this is a mistake and she will soon be released, the girl calls her mother and lies that she is going on a trip to Italy with a friend and will rest on the Mediterranean Sea. She is sure that within a month everything will be decided and she will be released, but Paloma, the head of the section, accepts Macarena's hope with a smile and mockery, because every second prisoner justifies herself just like she does. Once behind bars, Macarena says that she took with her bed linen, a set of panties and pills to keep track of her figure. One of the prisoners laughs at her because she knows perfectly well that all this will not be useful to her here. Soon, Paloma explains the rules of being in prison, after which she leaves Macarena and other newcomers to the screening room. She forces girls undress and carefully checks them, after which the prisoners receive clothes and soap supplies. Other girls happily accept fresh meat and are ready to have fun with each of them. Macarena is assigned to cell 234, but the girl refuses to go inside. She sees that prisoners from this block are behaving aggressively and mocking one of the inmates. Meanwhile, director of the prison is holding an educational conversation with two guards. Fabio and Ismael had a fight, which caused a small fight between them. Now they are forced to apologize to each other, even if they do it insincerely. Paloma returns to her duties and hands Macarena to Fabio. A man identifies a cell in 225 where she meets 3 women, Yolanda, Annabelle, and Soledad. Despite their rudeness, they turned out to be sweet and pleasant cellmates who happily accepted the new one. Paloma takes advantage of her work break to express milk for her newborn baby. At some point, she receives a video in which an unknown person enters her apartment when the woman is sleeping. She understands that her family is in constant danger and is nervous because she is sure that Zulema is behind this. Paloma is ready for anything, so long as Zulema's people do not harm her, her husband, and son. So she agrees to give her a key card that opens any door. In the evening, Macarena gets to know his cellmates better and finds out why each of them was imprisoned. Soledad burned her husband for treason, Annabelle ran a bar with easy-to-reach girls, and Yolanda robbed collectors. At night, Macarena is very nervous, cries, and cannot sleep. Yolanda tries to calm her down as this is a normal reaction for a newbie. In order to calm new friends, she takes girl by the hand, and Macarena notices a beautiful tattoo in the shape of the number 8 on her arm. A couple of hours later, Zulema comes to the camera and invites Yolanda to take a little walk. After making sure everyone in the cell is asleep, she agrees and leaves. Fabio and Antonio are doing their routine round and notice that the door to the laundry room is open. Deciding to check the room, the guards find the girl's corpse, after which they report this to Paloma and the authorities. In the morning, inmates notice Yolanda's absence and go to the shower. Here, the curly-haired beauty Estefania openly courts Macarena and invites her to become a couple. Girl refuses the offer as she is heterosexual, but Saray has already managed to become jealous of her for Estefania, with whom she is head over heels in love. The police arrive at the scene and find out that Yolanda was tortured before her death and tortured with an iron that releases steam with a temperature above 90 degrees to find out where she hid the stolen money. Macarena worries about her friend missing and refuses to eat breakfast. Fabio forces Girl to eat everything on her plate and talks about the fact that Girl was killed in the laundry. He asks if she saw anything suspicious, but Zulema interferes with a private conversation as she treats the prisoner with distrust. Antonio takes Yolanda's belongings, putting them in a small box to make room for the bed. Soledad asks him to be human and not to do so that she and others can say goodbye to her friend accepting her death. A little later, prisoners go to the greenhouse and take care of the plants. Macarena inherited Yolanda's land. Soledad tells her about exactly how Yolanda ended up behind bars. The girl, together with the guy, carefully planned the robbery and, pretending to be injured, stole 9 million euros. Soon Guy was killed and she was captured, but money was never found. Girl's phone had another SIM card, but she managed to hide the right one. Listening to all this, Macarena digs in the ground and suddenly finds a bag containing the same card that stores information about where the money is hidden. A little later, Macarena goes to meet with a lawyer provided to her by Annabelle. Realizing that girl is accused under 4 articles, Ricardo offers only one way out. He will pay €1,000,000 as a cash deposit or stay in prison for another 7 years. The girl's accounts and apartment are arrested and she has no money. Realizing that she will not be able to get out, Macarena falls into hysterics and turns to the doctor to give her a sedative. Carlos is not only a medical professional but also a real maniac who injects her with sleeping pills to turn her into his favorite toy. After meeting with the lawyer, Annabelle says that Macarena should work a quid pro quo. She has no right to refuse, otherwise Zulema will find out that she saw everything and will kill her. Girl receives a key card and must be in the yard after a walk to pick up a special bag. Unable to refuse, Macarena takes the key, after which they go to dinner. The guards on the surveillance cameras notice that the prisoners have an awl and arrange a search. Estefania notices that her friend is nervous and starts a fight with security to create a distraction and help her get rid of the card key. Realizing that she is in prison for a long time, Macarena calls her mother again, but this time she tells her the truth. On a walk, she realizes that she has lost her key card and hides in a basket of balls. While searches are taking place in the cells, the girl receives a package with prohibited substances and hides it in her pants. Realizing that they will look for her, Macarena closes herself from the outside and pretends that someone locked her there on purpose. The guards are distrustful and arrange a search, during which they find the same package. Macarena is sent to a punishment cell, and here she notices a symbol that looks like Yolanda's tattoo. The girl realizes that the only way to pay for her freedom is to find the money that her friend hid before being in prison. Macarena settles into the punishment cell and notices that everything is not as bad here as it seemed to her at first glance. Soon she hears that there is someone in the next cell and gets acquainted with the prisoner. Being sincere, Macarena tells that it was not her white powder, she just helped Annabelle out. As it turned out, the neighbor was the director of the prison who recorded the girl's testimony in order to identify all the accomplices distributing prohibited substances and punish them for it. Macarena continues to play sports and in one of the days injures her hand. Doctor diagnoses her with a dislocated wrist and tendon rupture, after which he decides that it would be better for the girl to stay in his medical box. Here, Teresa turns to Macarena and asks to go to the toilet in a jar as the doctor checks her tests for the content of prohibited substances. She helps the prisoner and sees the unfortunate Estefania lying in the ward after the brawl. A little later, it turns out that the girl who passed the tests, Teresa, is pregnant. The girls are preparing the assembly hall for parting with Yolanda. At this time, Fabio's wife calls and invites Antonio to dinner with them. Taking advantage of the lack of security, the prisoners drink wine and Soledad passes out. As it turned out, alcohol was forbidden to the woman and her heart stopped, but Doctor managed to save her. Zulema visits Macarena in the medical block and warns her that she will kill her if the girl starts talking. Doctor drives the prisoner away and examines the girl suffering from allergies. She cannot wear artificial underwear, and Carlos, who has fallen in love with her, promises to solve this problem. The director of the prison, Miranda, gathers the guards Paloma, Fabio, and Antonio in her office. This trio was on shift the night the prisoner was killed, and she is sure that one of them is an accomplice in the crime. Guests come to visit Macarena, and Fabio helps the girl, allowing her to talk with her parents for as long as she needs. The mother is shocked because of what happened and goes outside to get some fresh air. Meanwhile, the father interrogates his daughter and leaves her €500, realizing how important money in the prison. During dinner, Macarena asks for fish and the prisoners, passing the dish, spit on it. The girl does not want to eat the fish, but Fabio forces her to do so in order to comply with the rules of the prison. The cook saves Macarena in time and tells the guard about what happened. He is shocked that the girl is weak-willed and pathetic, allows herself to be offended and humiliated. Deciding on the first responsible act, she tells him that she has information about the death of a cellmate. In the director's office, she says that Zulema took Yolanda out of the cell and she never saw her again. At a farewell party for a murdered prisoner, Zulema acts hypocritical and pretends that Yolanda was her best friend. Meanwhile, Saray asks Macarena to leave Estefania the curly girl alone as she loves her and will kill anyone who gets in her way. Fabio realizes that Paloma is involved in lawlessness and interrogates her. Under pressure from a colleague, the young mother confesses that Zulema threatened her, so she had to give her the key card. In the evening, Antonio goes to visit Fabio, and during dinner he meets his blind wife. As it turned out, Fabio used to work in the police and the robbers beat his wife. He did everything to find them and send them to jail. Then the accomplices returned to their house and again punished the woman, as a result of which she lost her sight. It was then that Fabio quit and went to prison as a warden, promising his wife to be honest and sincere with her. The headmistress does not want to return home as her husband left the woman on her birthday, writing a farewell letter. Meanwhile, Macarena and Estefania are given a task by a doctor to make a dress for his little daughter. The girls become friends, but Macarena does not want to cross the line as she is afraid of the formidable Sarai. Estefania decides to put an end to their relationship and is rude to her ex-girlfriend, demanding to leave her alone. The next day, Paloma visits Zulema and promises to keep quiet, not telling the police anything. Macarena also visits her, but admits that she told the police about everything. The girl is sure that Zulema will not risk harming her or her loved ones, as she will be the first to fall under suspicion. Zulema decides to punish the insolent girl and calls her husband, ordering the murder. Macarena realizes what a stupid thing she did and tries to contact her father. She pays 400 euros to Annabelle, but she takes them on account of the debt for the powder that the guards confiscated from the girl. Macarena gives the last money to another prisoner to give her the phone, but the father ignores the calls. The girl makes a third attempt and steals the phone from Antonio to warn her father of the danger. Leopoldo answers the phone and reassures his daughter. He's your former guardsman, and you should not worry about him. The man found a way to solve problems and find money, as he is now next to her former boss. He threatens him with a gun and demands €1,000,000 to get Macarena out of jail. Meanwhile, the killer tracks down the victim and fires a shot, but does not kill the girl's relatives, but kills Paloma, who was in another parking lot. Leopoldo visits his daughter and reports that he demanded money from her boss, but he ran away. Macarena, in turn, says that there is an illegal way to get several million euros and talks about Yolanda, who stole money from collectors. A little later, the girl meets with the director and finds out that Zulema is in the punishment cell, so that nothing threatens her, but soon she will be returned to the general cell. During their conversation, Macarena's phone rings, Antonio tries to find him, and the girl, pretending to be sick, runs away. Estefania answers the security guard's call and deceives him that she found the phone on the bus and is ready to return it. After talking with her father and the director, Macarena goes to the greenhouse and digs in the vegetable garden, realizing that someone has stolen Yolanda's SIM card. She suspects Soledad of this, and indeed, the woman took her away to hide it and nothing threatened the girl's life. Soledad offers to get rid of the card, but Macarena persuades her not to do this, because 9 million is her only way to freedom. Zulema is isolated from others, but even in the punishment cell, she talks on the phone with her lover and knows that Macarena's father is waiting for them to appear. She sends a message to the girl and warns her that the snitch will definitely be punished. In the shower room, Macarena is forced to hide Yolanda's SIM card, but someone steals her clothes. The prisoners begin to mock Macarena and call her a snitch, while Zulema openly provokes Fabio into a conflict. Annabelle demands money from the girl for white powder and threatens to kill her if she does not repay the debt within 24 hours. Macarena is scared and she gives Antonio's phone to Estefania. The dark-skinned curly girl sells the opportunity to talk with loved ones and earns 600 euros from this, which she passes on to Macarena. Meanwhile, the girl meets a prisoner from whom she accidentally stole a towel when she was naked. The woman is not angry and forgives her, because they often do this with newcomers, and she saw that Annabelle took her clothes. Macarena comes into conflict with Saray and gets hit in the face with the ball. In the medical block, she remembers that the doctor feels sympathy for him and flirts with a man so that he will allow her to return to the cell and be more supportive. At the same time, Fabio realizes that Zulema is involved in the murder of Paloma and beats her, showing his willingness to take action. Macarena meets with Annabelle and gives 600 euros. She knows that the neighbor stole the clothes and the SIM card and asks for them back. It turned out that Annabelle had already sold her to Sarai and could not do anything. Fabio continues to lose control and goes to the police station to get the inspector to act. Antonio is worried about his friend's behavior because his wife has already left him and is trying to talk to the director so that she can help him. Estefania moves into Macarena's cell after doing a favor for the doctor. At first, this makes the girl angry, but she understands the actions of her friend and is glad that now they will live together. Teresa has to take retests and turns to Macarena for help. When the girl refuses, Teresa informs her of her pregnancy. On a meeting with her father and brother, Macarena hides this information from loved ones and learns that the bail can be reduced by a third if she proves an intimate relationship with the boss. The girl lost her SIM card and the plan failed, but she no longer intends to give up. Macarena gets into a fight with Saray and demands the number back. After losing physically, she offers a quid pro quo. Saray returns the SIM card to her, and Macarena changes the testimony she gives to the policeman and publicly pushes Estefania away from himself, for which she gets punched in the face by her. After unlocking Yolanda's SIM card, Macarena finds a photo of the place where she hid the money. The girl calls her father and sends him photos, after which Leopoldo sends his son to the store for a shovel, gloves, and other equipment. At the exit from the supermarket, Zulema's accomplice was waiting for Roman and stuffed him into the trunk. Macarena tells Soledad that she is pregnant. Zulema offers the girl patronage, But in return, she must find Yolanda's 9 million and give her most of the money. Zulema allows her to take 1 million for farming and release, but requires the remaining 8 million. After turning her down, Macarena answers the phone. Curly decided to talk to her on Antonio's phone and apologize for her behavior. Macarena is not angry with her friend and asks how she is doing in the punishment cell, but soon their conversation is interrupted by a guard who noticed Estefania's mobile phone. Zulema is angry with Macarena and calls Hambel, who has kidnapped her brother Roman. She asks to interrogate him and find out where the money is hidden, but tells him not to kill Roman. As soon as Hambel opens the trunk, Roman beats him and runs away, after which he insists on going to the police with his father and telling them what happened. Meanwhile, the director summons Antonio, as she suspects him of providing services to prisoners in exchange for an intimate relationship. They found his phone at the Curly, and Teresa said that Antonio was the father of her child. He is suspended from work and an investigation is launched, but Fabio does not believe the false evidence and tries to get to the bottom of the truth. Macarena goes to the doctor to confirm her pregnancy and ask for an abortion. The term is short, so the girl can get off with a special pill, but she can get it only after she satisfies Carlos. Macarena refuses to accept the humiliating work on her knees and flees the doctor's office. Calling her brother, she talks about humiliation and bullying that she has to endure in prison. Roman realizes that only the stolen 9 million can save his sister and changes his mind, refusing to talk to the police about his recent kidnapping. Fabio reviews the security cameras and realizes that Antonio's phone was stolen by Macarena. He interrogates the girl and finds out about her pregnancy. The next morning, Leopoldo and the inspector meet with Fabio to ask him to be Macarena's patron. At the same time, the police officer is aware of the situation that is happening in the prison and asks Leopoldo not to look for the missing 9 million, otherwise their friendship will end. Zulema is frankly rude to one of the guards and shows her disrespect for him. Ismail decides to take revenge on her and arranges everything as if Zulema is selling white powder. Annabel sees this and takes the prisoner for a competitor who has occupied her business niche. Macarena wants to get rid of the baby and turns to Annabel to bring her a pill. Meanwhile, Fabio reveals Teresa's lie and the girl admits that she is not actually pregnant, but Macarena and Antonio have nothing to do with this, so he can be reinstated. Annabel meets with a messenger and distributes gifts to the prisoners. She forgot about Macarena, but is not worried about it, and offers to do a favor for the doctor in exchange for terminating the pregnancy. A little later, Annabel meets with Zulema and warns her not to meddle in her territory. As a threat, she leaves Zulema's battered maid in the laundry room, on which there is no living place. The cops put pressure on the Curly girl to take a confession from Macarena about Yolanda's SIM card and offer her freedom in exchange. Estefania agrees and puts on a listening device. She first goes to therapy, where she apologizes to Soraya for her behavior and confesses her love for her. A little later, the Curly girl goes to Macarena's cell and obtains the necessary evidence, which allows the police to call the girl for questioning. Macarena admits that she had the right number and she saw the photos, so she can show where the money is hidden. Fabio, Macarena, the inspector go in search of a treasure. Macarena asks Fabio to help her terminate the pregnancy, and then notices the very stones but pretends not to recognize the place from the photographs. Meanwhile, Leopoldo and Roman go looking for money. Knowing that Hannibal is after them, they go to another place and dig where there is nothing. The Arab is preparing to kill the Macarena family when suddenly he is noticed by the assistant inspector. As a result of the shootout, Zulema's lover wounds the inspector and kills his assistant and also shoots Macarena, but Fabio covers her with his body. Frightened, Leopoldo and Roman flee the scene. Bloodied and armed, Macarena flees the scene of the shootout, but the guards catch her and the girl surrenders. 10 days later, she is back in jail and undergoing an ultrasound to make sure the baby is okay. Macarena learns that she will have a boy and talks about it on a meeting with her father and brother. She asks them to stop looking for money dishonestly and leave the venture with Yolanda's millions. Otherwise, they too may end up behind bars. The prisoners watch a news story in which journalists report that they found a hole in the forest and, presumably, Zulema's young lover found the money and fled with it. The woman does not want to believe that Hannibal has betrayed her as the guy does not answer her calls and turned off his mobile phone. Zulema feels oppressed and threatens Macarena, but the girl realized that she needed to be able to stand up for herself. She is no longer afraid to respond boldly to the Arab empress of the prison and openly insults her, commanding respect from others. While in prison, Macarena recalls that she had the opportunity to escape. There in the forest, when the inspector and Fabio were injured, she did not leave them but helped the guard and his former colleague in every possible way. When Fabio almost lost consciousness due to blood loss, she grabbed a gun and ran to the road to call for help. Soon she met with Hannibal, and he shot at him but missed. In response, the guy asked to convey the message to Zulema and fled. Curly Estefania talks to the principal and asks for better conditions in exchange for betraying her friend. The woman promises to help, but for this girl needs to find a job. A little later, the director speaks with Macarena and refuses to transfer her to the mother's unit, since she has not yet given birth. Macarena promises Estefania to help with the job and calls her uncle to set up an interview. Meanwhile, Zulema learns that her parents want to marry her friend Saray to the son of a gypsy baron. Knowing that Saray is in love with another girl, Zulema intervenes in her friend's conversation with her parents and tells them the truth. The gypsies abandon their daughter and say goodbye to her forever, which causes a conflict between Saray and Zulema. Macarena's mother returns home and brings a lot of money that she borrowed from relatives. Fabio, after being injured, returns to work and sees that Macarena and Curly are spending too much time together. The guard is in love with the pregnant girl, so he tells her that it was Estefania who handed her over to the police, and because of her, they ended up in that forest. After that, Macarena sends a message to Zulema and warns that she will kill her for the sake of her child, because the future son is all she has. Doctor is ready to help and transfer pregnant woman to the mother's unit, but in return she must kneel. Macarena is ready to satisfy him, but at the last moment she warns that her teeth may clench and it will hurt. Having accepted another refusal of the beauty, Carlos kicks her out of the office and refuses to help. Estefania is waiting for an interview with Macarena's uncle, but at the last moment she learns that it has been cancelled. She is outraged and angry at her friend, but the pregnant girl also has something to be offended about, because the curly girl handed her over to the police and recorded her testimony on a listening device. Hambel sneaks into the home of the Macarena family and nearly kills the girl's sleeping mother. Noticing that there was no one else, he looked around all the rooms and found the hidden money. Moreover, Zulema's lover found photos of the place where 9 million euros are hidden. Realizing that they have no other way to save Macarena, Roman and Leopoldo head into the woods with weapons. They find the right place, but see only an empty hole and realize that Hambel stole the money and disappeared before they arrived. Zulema gives her assistant to Macarena so that she listens to her in everything and fulfills any wish of a pregnant girl. In fact, she assigned her not only for this, but also for the assistant to eavesdrop on all the conversations of Macarena with friends, relatives, and other prisoners. Meanwhile, illegal substances continue to circulate in the prison, and the director decides to step up surveillance of everyone in the building. This also applies to the staff, so she, along with the doctor and Antonio, goes to the guard's locker room to conduct a search. In Ismail's bag, Antonio found a white powder but hid it so as not to betray a work colleague. A little later, he tells Fabio about this and criticizes his friend for not betraying Ismail right away. The inspector visits his old comrade Leopoldo as he believes that he is in danger. The man tries to hide the trace of the shot, but the policeman still finds the bullet and takes it for examination to make sure that it was fired from Hambel's pistol. Soon the parents visit Macarena, and the girl tells them that she is expecting a child. She is not afraid to spend 7 years in prison and is ready for it. The curly girl intervenes in their conversation and openly flirts with Leopoldo's daughter. Parents understand that Macarena has begun to change and becomes like other prisoners, so she needs to be pulled out of here as quickly as possible. A little later, Macarena and Estefania talk again and make up, realizing that they are still best friends. Annabelle got an abortion pill, but Macarena doesn't need it anymore. A woman bills for services and demands money or work off a debt. Macarena agrees to help her and become a temporary storage cell in order to smuggle the white powder into the prison. The girl goes on a date and receives 2 packets of powder, but the doctor takes her to his office after the date for an examination. Macarena gives the powder to the doctor and asks not to tell anyone about it, because otherwise her child may be taken away from her. He is ready to remain silent, but she must kiss him and give a chance for a relationship. Saray marries the son of a baron so that her parents will forgive her, but they still refuse the girl and do not want to see her. Meanwhile, a letter arrives at the prison for Zulema. Fabio opens it and finds a 500 euro note with a mobile phone and a phrase from the Quran in Arabic. The cops and prison staff realize that the Hambel are up to something and start following Zulema. When she calls, they try to figure out the location of the criminal, but it turns out that everything is set up and has become a trap for the police. Zulema knew that she was being tapped, and Hambel left her a completely different cipher, warning that he would soon arrange an escape for the woman. Annabelle finds out that the doctor took the powder and puts Macarena on the counter. The girl fights back and others see it, which is why Zulema ridicules the drug dealer. Feeling humiliated, Annabelle and several of her assistants catch Macarena and drag her into the boiler room. A woman wants to punish a naughty pregnant girl and cut off her nipples, but does not have time to do this. The assistant informs Zulema about what was happening, and she paid a deposit of 500 euros so that Annabelle would let Macarena go. Meanwhile, Leopoldo and Roman figure out the trailer, where Hambel was chasing them. Having found the car, the head of the family goes to him to kill the Arab and steal 9 million euros. Bursting into the trailer, Leopoldo realizes that they made a mistake and there are other people here. Here, movie ends. Thank you for watching and see you tomorrow at the same time.